If you don't make decisions because you're afraid of getting it wrong, this video is for you. Welcome to video 1 of the Broke versus Abundant Energy series. And I made this series because wealth and abundance isn't just about money. It's about who you are and how you show up in your life. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So for example, if you don't trust yourself to make a decision, it's affecting your bank account too. It's all connected. Everything is connected. So today we're going to talk about self-trust and why you keep second guessing yourself and how to trust yourself to navigate life no matter how difficult or uncertain it gets. Because trust me, your life will have difficult and uncertain moments, and I know you can handle it. Broke energy says, what if I make the wrong decision? Abundant energy says, I trust myself to figure it out. So by the end of this video, you're going to understand why you keep second guessing yourself, what abundant energy actually looks like in real life, and best of all, how to start trusting yourself immediately. If you're new here, I'm Angie, the Inner Glow Coach, and I help you glow up into the version of you whose wealth and life are always expanding so that your life can feel as good as it looks. And also, if you're new here, make sure you stay until the end because all of my videos have at least one action step at the end. This one is chock full of action steps, which I'll explain later. And it's because information is everywhere, but nothing changes without action. Knowing is not the same as doing. So this channel is all about knowing and doing. Broke energy sounds like, what if I made the wrong decision? What if I regret it? What if this doesn't work out? What if I keep trying and it doesn't work? So you obsessively ruminate about every single detail and think about every possible scenario that could go wrong. So then this causes you to procrastinate and you don't make a decision for days or even weeks or months. Or I've had women come to me who've been procrastinating for years. Or this is another common one, looking for reassurance by asking all of your friends, checking your horoscope, looking for a sign, looking for anything outside of you to tell you what to do. Or even worse, you're not deciding at all. And I know about a lot of this because I used to second guess everything. I needed a plan, a backup plan. I was the one who needed all of that external reassurance before I even made the smallest decisions. And I told myself that I was being responsible and being analytical was the smart thing to do. But underneath all of the layers, it was fear. So now I make decisions quickly. And it's not because I always know the answers, because I will be straight up with you. You're not always going to know the answers. I can decide quickly because I trust myself to figure it out no matter what. So why don't you trust yourself? There could be many reasons for this, and I'm going to tell you my personal story for some examples, because the reason why you trust yourself probably originated in your childhood. So for me, I grew up, and I have a hair in my mouth that I have to get out. Oh, childhood. I'll tell you my own personal story. I grew up in an extremely critical home. So if I made a mistake, I was yelled at instead of corrected. So I was always walking on eggshells trying to be perfect. And I also turned that criticism inward, which turned into this vicious cycle of self-loathing and shame. And my mom didn't trust me to make decisions, so she would always criticize me about any decisions I made on my own. And this even continued into adulthood. And also what continued into adulthood, she constantly gave me unsolicited advice, which was a blatant message that she didn't trust me to make decisions. So needless to say, I grew up to be a very fearful adult. I was terrified of change. I was terrified of uncertainty because I couldn't handle the anxiety that came along with it because I had zero tools or knowledge about emotional regulation or what to do about my feelings. So I did everything I could to control my environment so that I could stay in my bubble of certainty so that I didn't have to make any decisions. So, spoiler alert, that obviously isn't an effective long-term strategy. I still had to make decisions. And when I did have decision points, I would always trust other people's opinions more than my own, whether it was a friend, a coworker, or a stranger on the internet. At one point, I became addicted to going to psychics because I was convinced that they had all of the answers, even though I was very aware of my own intuition and I constantly ignored it. And if that doesn't sound ridiculous enough, my psychic addiction was during a time that I was in a really toxic relationship. So I would always get readings about him. And in hindsight, I want to shake my old self because why did I need to be outsourcing my power to them when the answer was very clear that I needed to run away from him as fast as possible? But the reason I'm telling you that story, because it's actually very embarrassing and I don't like admitting it, but the reason I'm telling you that it's because that reason is exactly why we outsource our power, so that we don't have to take accountability. Because then if we make the wrong choice, then we can blame it on someone else. But this is what's underneath all of that. It's not that you don't know what to do. It's that you don't trust yourself to handle what happens after you decide. Because if you trusted yourself, there would be no such thing as a quote unquote wrong decision, because you know that you can handle it. And that is abundant energy. Abundant energy sounds like, I trust myself to figure it out. I'm the kind of person that can handle difficult and uncertain situations. I'm the kind of person who takes decisive action. And again, it's not always about choosing perfectly, because you won't, trust me. It's about knowing that you can handle whatever comes next, because you can. And another hard truth, making the right decision doesn't always feel good. So let's use the toxic relationship example. If you're in a toxic relationship and leave, that is absolutely the right decision, but it's still going to be painful in the short term, and you're still going to have to grieve the relationship. And then you go down the rumination spiral of, well, I was miserable before, I was miserable before, but at least I wasn't alone. And it's just like this whole spiral of self-doubt and self-deprecating thoughts. And I think there's this expectation that when you live in integrity and make the right decisions, that life is all rainbows and unicorns. No, the right decision is the one that helps you glow up into the most abundant version of yourself. And for example, in that example, letting go of someone who isn't part of your growth is the right decision. And it's okay to have feelings about it. You're a human being, and it's okay to feel how you feel. And the problem with that is we get caught up in these short-term feelings. For example, that's actually a really good example, because when you choose to leave a bad relationship, and initially you're just as miserable as you were before, but then you can justify, at least I wasn't alone and blah, 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 blah. But the real growth is looking out for our future selves, because if you have to grieve now for long-term happiness, that's okay, because nobody has ever regretted leaving a toxic relationship. People have always regretted staying. And I'm just going to go right into the action steps, because I have 4. I actually had an entire list, but I had to cut them down for the purpose of this video because I don't want it to be super long. My goal was to choose a variety, because you're all at different stages on your journey. So if something doesn't resonate, don't force it. I will ask you to at least choose one and take action on it. And the reason that there's 4 is because this is a very important topic, which is why it's the first video of this series, because almost every single woman who initially comes to me for coaching does not trust herself. And I want to wake you up to your own power because you are a very powerful being. You just don't see it yet. So let's practice abundant energy in real time. And action item number 1, keep and make and keep promises to yourself. This one may seem small, but it is huge. Because if you tell yourself that you're going to go to the gym 5 days per week and you only go a few times or not at all, you're breaking a promise to yourself. And these micro self-abandonments add up, and over time, you are literally showing yourself that you cannot trust yourself. And your brain remembers that. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. Because if your brain can't trust yourself to go to the gym, how can you trust yourself to afford a new car or save for retirement? So pick one thing that you're going to commit to for the next 21 days and do it. And this could be as simple as drinking enough water, getting at least 7 hours of sleep every night, or spending less time doom scrolling. And I do recommend keeping it doable, meaning don't start spending 2 hours a day meditating or running 7 miles a day or anything crazy or time consuming that will be hard to stick to. The purpose is building this habit of proving to yourself that you have your own back, because your brain and subconscious will eventually start to believe that. So that is action step number 1. Action step number 2, practicing self-compassion. And this is related to number 1 because maybe you miss a day. Like, for example, you could get sick and you can't go to the gym, or maybe you have a night of insomnia and miss your sleep target. That's okay. All you have to do is get back on track as soon as you can. You're a human being. You don't have to be perfect. And also, depending on your goal, this may be a good lesson in trusting that you can handle the consequences. So for example, if you miss your sleep targets and start running low on sleep, that will affect your energy. And instead of getting mad at yourself, you can use it as motivation to do better next time, because now you know what happens when you don't get enough sleep and you're making yourself accountable for the consequences. And if you need extra help on this, I have a self-compassion playlist. It's a 3-day challenge. It's actually 5 videos because there's an introduction video and a bonus day 4, but that one is full of exercises that you can practice, because I think a lot of us struggle with self-compassion. So that is action step number 2. Action step number 3, bold, decisive action. Making choices that align with your values, not external pressure, even when the outcome is uncertain. And in the work that I do with my one-on-one clients, we create our own rules for life, which become our value system, which is our filter. Like every decision we make, we filter through our values, and that's how we make decisions. And that being said, it's okay to ask someone for their opinion or check your horoscope, because I know sometimes I say those things and I sound like I'm mocking them, but I only disagree with those things when that's like your first source of opinion. But when you are your first source of opinion, and then you're filtering through the lens of discernment because you trust your own opinion the most, that's when it becomes okay. You're just asking them and you're filtering it through your lens of discernment, and you can take it or leave it. So it's completely different from outsourcing it or feeling dependent on it. So over the next few days, practice making decisions immediately. And again, this is best done with low stakes situations, just in case you do decide wrong and it causes a trigger or anxiety. But keep in mind, if you do decide wrong, that's okay, because I know that you can handle the consequences. And this one will involve feeling safe in your body while feeling your feelings, which I talk a lot about in my other videos, especially in the Anxiety Equal BFF series. So I'm not going to go into that now, but just practice making quick decisions in low stakes situations, and practice feeling safe in your body while you're feeling the feelings, when you're making the decisions, and in the aftermath. Because again, you may decide wrong, and I don't like to use the word wrong because It's only wrong if you can't handle the consequences, and you can. I trust that you can. Action step number 4, connect to your intuition. We are all born with intuition. We're all born with this light inside of us. But as we go through life, everyone else is telling us what we should or should not be. So we start listening to other people and we get disconnected from our light. We get disconnected from our intuition. And the amazing thing about being alive is that we all have the answers inside of us. All we need to do is plug into our own magic. Like, how amazing is that? And this could be a whole video on its own, but to start simple, most people have had a gut feeling. Whether you're woo-woo or scientific or whatever, most people have had a gut feeling. So start leaning into your gut feelings. Do not second guess it. And all I'm asking you is to be aware of when you're getting the gut feelings. That's it, just awareness. Because awareness is the first step to change. But for extra credit, act on your gut feeling. Again, only do this in low stakes situation to start. Act on your gut feeling even when it doesn't make sense. So for example, I am extremely plugged into my intuition. And as I like to say, I'm my intuition's bitch. So what that means is if I'm driving, and this has happened before, I'll be driving and I'll get a gut feeling to turn down a road that I've never been on before. So I skirt down that road and don't even question it. I'm just like, maybe it was to avoid an accident. Like, who knows? I don't care. I just do it. So that is action step 4. Just start plugging into your intuition. And I think I'm going to do a whole video on that later because it's such an important topic. And it's actually a huge part of the work that I do with my clients to really tap into their own self-trust and relying on plugging into their own magic. It's really hard to stop at 4 action steps because I have a whole list of ideas, but I'm going to stop now. But to recap, what were the 4? Make and keep promises to yourself, practice self-compassion, take decisive action, plug into your intuition. And if you're done overthinking your decisions and done knowing what to do but not actually doing it, this is exactly what we solve in the Inner Glow Overflow. This is my new 6-month private experience where your inner and outer wealth expand at the same time, meaning you stop second guessing yourself and start making confident decisions. You actually feel in control of your money with a system that works. You avoid spiraling, you avoid hesitating, and you start taking massive action. And it's not just mindset and it's not just money. It's the combination of money, energetics, and practical strategy so that your results actually stick. So you don't just look successful, you feel powerful, steady, and fully in control of your own life. So if you're ready to step into your next level, check out the Inner Glow Overflow and I'll put the link in the description. Because your next level isn't about learning more. It's about becoming the woman who actually moves differently and gets different results. And in the next video of the Broke versus Abundant Energy series, we're going to talk about self-worth and how that's subtly affecting your money, decisions, and your standards. I will see you in the next video.